All right, Kel again, and we are back for this classic margarita recipe from Anthony the Professor Baker. So let's get right into it.
Okay, Kel again, and we are back, and we're in the kitchen this time, and we are still with Professor Baker. Again, thank you for being here, Professor Baker. I appreciate it so much. And
Thank you for having me.
he's gonna walk us through making a classic margarita. And I'm like really excited about that. But before we get into making it, okay, I have to confess, I have our friend Jose Cuervo. Again, I told you I was not very well versed in spirits before attending your classes. So I have Jose with me. This is not sponsored at all. Um, and I have Jose Cuervo Especial. Can you talk to us just a little bit about the type of tequila? Because I know that is probably the key ingredient in making a really good margarita. And for us novices like me, we tend to reach for Jose. So please elevate our knowledge and give me a little bit of information about what I should be looking for when I'm looking for a tequila.
Okay, well, if you're gonna get a tequila, make sure you get a decent tequila. Now, Jose Cuervo, if there were no Jose Cuervo, there would probably be no tequila because he was actually the first, his family was actually the first to actually get the legal rights to make mezcal legally in Mexico. And that's what tequila is. It's a type of mezcal. That's all it is. Now, Jose Cuervo, he is one of the oldest people, the oldest brands that actually made the tequila. So he's really good at making tequila. However, there are two main types of tequila that I tell people to watch out for. There is the type of tequila that is good for you, and then there's the type that could potentially be a little bit bad for you regarding hangovers. Now, Jose Cuervo isn't a bad brand. I actually have it myself, but um, you want to look for these words on the bottle of the tequila. Look for the words 100% agave. Okay, 100% agave. If you could, oh, there we go. If you see those words on the bottle of tequila, then you're in good hands because that means that there is only one sugar source for that tequila. Now, let me explain that. You need three things to make alcohol and thus tequila. You need sugar, water, and yeast. Now, the sugar source comes from agave nectar. At least that's what this says. The sugar source comes from 100% from agave nectar. And a different tequila that doesn't have those words on that bottle, even if it says blue agave, whatever, if it doesn't say 100% agave nectar, that means that the sugar source is coming from multiple different areas. It could come from agave, it could come from brown sugar, it could come from white sugar, it can come from barley, wheat, rye. And that's okay, but understand that a lot of those sugars are conflicting and they concentrate, which causes the worst hangovers.
Okay, so that explains when I hear the cheap tequila. Stay away from the cheap tequila.
Yeah.
That explains the effect you usually have after drinking a cheap tequila. So thank you
Yes.
for giving us
Yeah.
an update on what we need to look out for so we no longer feel bad the next day after drinking it. So,
Yes.
okay. So let's go ahead and can you walk us through making a classic margarita? What are the ingredients?
Okay, so the ingredients are going to be four main ingredients, just like I told you, the four elements of making a margarita: sugar, citrus, liqueur, and the spirit. Now, the sugar that we're going to use is agave nectar. Agave nectar is an amazing sugar source. Agave nectar is an amazing sugar source for tequila cocktails, especially because it comes from the same exact plant as tequila comes from, which not only sweetens the drink, but it enriches the tequila. Now, lime juice is always prevalent because in Mexico they have something called limon, which is equivalent to lime. So that's the reason why they started using it because that's the citrus that they grow over there. So your sugar source will be agave nectar, and your citrus will be fresh lime juice. Fresh lime juice, none of that store bought preservative stuff. All right, especially not Rose's lime juice. Do not use Rose's lime juice. Okay, that type of stuff gets you logged off in my classes. All right, so now originally when the margarita was made, they wanted to put a liqueur in here, and so they put Cointreau. And basically, Cointreau is just as strong as tequila, only it's much, much sweeter. All right, it's a liqueur, and that's what makes it a liqueur. You have to have at least 150 grams of sugar per liter in a bottle, and that's what this has. It should have about 300 grams. But it also has an orange, so it gives it another layer of flavor. So you're going to have lime flavor, and then you're also going to have the burst of tequila, which is agave flavor, but you're also going to have another layer of orange flavor. And of course, the tequila, which is what we all use. This cocktail was actually designed for Blanco tequilas. Okay, it was designed for Blanco, but I'm going to use a Reposado because I'm probably going to put a little bit more tequila in here. So I'm going to use a Reposado for this one. And lastly, which is not really an ingredient, it's kind of like a garnish and an ingredient at the same time, but salt. All right, salt is a really cool ingredient. Now, if you don't use salt on your margaritas, it is still a margarita because you have the other 4 elements. But salt is just kind of like, salt is supposed to give you a savory note. That's all it's supposed to do. It's just supposed to give you a nice little savory note for the cocktail.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm ready. I have my ingredients. Oh, but please walk us through what supplies we need. What tools do we need to make the margarita?
Perfect. All right. So first of all, you will need a cocktail shaker. All right. You could use a cocktail shaker. And if you don't have a cocktail shaker out there, don't worry. You could just simply use a jar with the lid. If you have a jar with the lid, that's fine. You can use a jar with the lid. You can use Tupperware. I mean, I'm pretty sure people who watch this channel are in shape. So y'all have protein shakers at home too. So don't shake protein, shake cocktails in it. Whatever you use, just make sure you can grab it like this and shake it like that, okay? And then the next thing that you will need, the next bar tool that you need that is very important for this cocktail is a jigger. You will need a jigger because remember what I said, the proportions are very important. Now, if you don't have a jigger, you could just do what Raquel's doing. You could just use a shot glass, okay? You could use a shot glass. This is a 1 ounce shot glass and this is a jigger. This is very important because if you do not use the correct proportions, your drink will either be too limey, too sweet, or too orangey. Either way, it's going to be out of proportions. And that's why it is important for us to have either a shot glass or a jigger so we can measure our proportions, okay? And that's all you need, really. You just need that. Oh, by the way, if you have a cocktail shaker, you may need to use a strainer as well. If you don't have a cobbler shaker like this one, if you don't have a 3-piece cobbler shaker, you could use a strainer. Okay, that's going to keep all the ice behind and all the pulp behind. If you have any pulp from the lime juice, that's what the strainer is for. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's get into it. I'm ready.
All right, perfect. So, classic margarita, classic adult margarita. We're grown. We're over. Well, I don't want to say our ages, but we're over that age where we're really grown. Okay, we're seasoned. You know, so that's what we should call this: the seasoned margarita. All right, so let's first take the base of our cocktail shaker and let's place it right in front of us. And here is where we are going to add all of our ingredients into the shaker. Now, the first ingredient we want to start off with is our agave nectar. Okay, let's grab our agave nectar and let's start off with that. So take your agave nectar, and what you're going to do is you're going to measure 1/2 ounce of agave nectar. Okay. Just measure out a 1/2 ounce. And these are per person measurements, you know. I only give per person measurements because like if you're one person and you want to make yourself 3 drinks at a time, it's really not anybody's business that you're a lush. So just per person measurements, 1/2 ounce of agave nectar, and then pour that right into your shaker. Okay, pour that into your shaker. Now, after you pour that into your shaker, you're gonna notice that there's some agave nectar still left behind, right? That is the reason why we put that first, so that way every other ingredient thereafter cleans it out. And that's why we're going to go to our fresh lime juice right afterwards, because the citrus from here is going to clean the rest of that sugar out. So I want you to measure 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, 1 ounce of fresh lime juice. You want to do double the amount of lime juice because Agave nectar is very sweet. It's very rich and it's very sweet. And that's why you got to do double the amount of fresh lime juice. So after you measure 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, pour that right into your shaker. That's the only way you're going to get true balance in this cocktail is if you do 1/2 ounce of agave nectar and 1 ounce of fresh lime juice. Okay. So now let's add a little bit of alcohol, but we're going to add a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of orange flavor from here. So let's go to our Cointreau. Okay. Oh, perfect. Yes, Cointreau. Now, a lot of people, now let me just say one thing, Raquel. A lot of people like to put Grand Marnier, and if I'm not mistaken, you like Grand Marnier too, right? Now, the difference between Cointreau and Grand Marnier is simply this. Cointreau is going to have a very, very clean orange flavor. If you just want notes of orange in it, use Cointreau. But Grand Marnier, on the other hand, it is cognac based. While this is vodka based, Grand Marnier is cognac based, which means you're going to get not just orange flavor, you're going to get hints of woodiness, you're going to get definitely some honey, maybe even some cinnamon in there. So it's going to have another layer to those orange flavors. Some people hate it, some people love it. But if you want a clean orange flavor, go with Cointreau. So let's take our Cointreau and let's measure out 1/2 ounce of Cointreau. We don't want to make it too sweet. So we're just going to do 1/2 ounce and pour that right into the shaker. Perfect, perfect. Now, I'm actually going to switch things up a little bit, Raquel. I'm not going to use Jose Cuervo. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use a different tequila. Let's see what my options are. You know what? I'm actually going to use an American tequila. It's going to be called Mean Mule. Do you mind if I grab that? All right, I'm going to use Mean Mule.
Sounds good.
Mean Mule is actually an American. Well, we can't call it tequila because it has to be made in tequila, but this is made just like tequila, only it's made in, I believe, Kansas City. Yeah, it's made in Kansas City. So let's take our tequila and let's do 1.5 ounce, okay?
Ooh, okay.
Strong. 1.5 ounce of tequila. Yes, this is going to be quite strong, but it's not going to be too strong. Trust me, the Cointreau is a really nice bridge between the sweet and sour mix and the tequila.
Oh, I think I put too much.
I'm pretty sure that wasn't by accident.
You didn't see that. Didn't see that.
All right. So now we've got all of our ingredients. So just, you know what, Raquel, let's just give ourselves a tease. Let's just take a taste of what we have coming to us. Take your bar spoon if you have one. Take a spoon if you have one. And just give yourself a small taste. Oh, that is so, so classic right there.
Ooh.
Yeah. Very nice balance. Very, very lovely balance.
Very nice.
Now now we're ready to, because it's all about the proportions, Raquel. If you put too much of anything in here, it's going to throw the whole drink off, except the tequila. You can put too much of that if you want. But it's all about the proportions. So now let's shake this up because it's going to get even better. We're going to dilute it. We're going to make it colder. It's going to be an even better drink. So let's put a few pieces of ice into our shaker. Yeah, 2 to 3 pieces of ice is just fine, actually. And then after you put ice in your shaker, let's seal it up tight. Seal it up really tight because we're going to shake this really, really hard.
Okay.
All right. Now, before we shake, I want to do something. Let's take the glass that we're going to have our drink in.
Okay.
And actually show me your glass. Oh, you got a margarita glass. Perfect. So I want you to determine right now if you're going to put ice in this glass. And if you are, now is the time to put it.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a couple pieces.
Yeah, just a couple pieces for you. For me, I need a little bit more actually. And my ice is being stubborn today, so I have to use my hands with it because it's just not letting me use my scoop. All right, so now after you get your ice in your glass, let's put that to the side and let's shake this as hard as we can for 10 seconds, okay?
All right.
Ready, set, shake. Okay. Now, take a couple seconds to warm your hands up, and then let's strain that gently over the ice. Yes, perfect. Nice and gently right over the ice.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Mhm. Now, after you have your drink, you're probably wondering, why didn't we put salt on the rim first? Because nobody wants to do salt on the rim yet. We don't want that, all right? Remember, the reason why the salt is on the rim is for a savory note. You don't want to lick salt on a glass and get like a mouthful of sodium. That's just way too much. So instead, we're going to add this the adult, mature way. So let's take your salt. Okay, take your salt. Take a pinch of your salt. Take a nice good pinch of it and just salt bay it right on the top layer. That's the mature way to do this, okay? Just salt bay the nice top layer. Get it all on the top layer so that way whenever you get a sip, you get a nice savory note. This way you're actually getting a savory note without getting too much savoriness, like too salty. And then from there, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna garnish with a simple garnish, a lime wedge. Okay, we're gonna garnish with the lime wedge. Now, the reason why you garnish with the lime wedge is, let's just say at some point you feel like this drink is too sweet, you can take the lime wedge and you could squeeze it in for more lime juice, for more fresh lime juice. That's the purpose of a lime wedge. Cheers. You've made yourself a classic margarita for seasoned people.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to take a taste.
Delicious. Delicious every single time.
Very good. I tell you the truth, I've been doing it wrong. I've been doing it wrong this whole time. That is
not mess with
good.
Those. Don't mess with those margarita mixes. Don't mess with the margarita mixes. Those are bad. Do your own margarita mix at home.
That is delicious. Thank you so much.
Of course. I'm always going to share my recipes with everyone.
Well, you know, I like to be in the kitchen, so I would pair this with a very nice Mexican meal. So fajitas, enchiladas, maybe a really nice chili lime fish dish, or even just something simple, a quesadilla and some nachos. This is very good. Very good. Well, thank you again so much for joining us today to talk about cocktails. Again, if you're interested in taking one of Professor Baker's cocktail classes, I will put the link to the Cozy Meal classes in the description below. I will also put Professor Baker's Instagram handle in the description below so you can follow him for more cocktail recipes and more cocktail goodness. And if you happen to try this classic margarita, please make sure that you tag myself and Professor Baker on your post on Instagram. And again, Professor Baker, thank you so much for being here with us today and talking to us about cocktails. And I will see you all on the next episode of Kel's Kitchen. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.